Defense Committee no confidence vote after Taliban remarks. You may well have seen he'd put out this video, and the parts of it were misguided. The music was a bit strange. It was a pro-Taliban video with upbeat music, as if he was launching a new leisure centre. It was kind of slightly misguided.
Or looking for venture capital.
Yeah. And Piers Morgan is hammering him about the music, and the music was misguided, and the tone was a touch misguided. But the essence of what he said wasn't that bad to me, because I have a friend who went out and lived there in Afghanistan, and he basically confirmed everything that Ellwood said, which is that since we've fled and had to abandon it, they've actually taken over, and they have brought a certain amount of law, a certain amount of security, and they've cracked down on the drugs trade, which was acknowledged in all the broadsheets recently when they called the...
Massively.
They called it was the best counter-narcotics programme ever from the Taliban.
Yeah.
So we have to acknowledge this.
They've made an actual war on drugs, and they've won.
And they've won, yeah. But where he's getting hammered, of course, was the optics of the video and for seeming to sound like he was praising the Taliban and being a, quote, useful idiot for them. But really what he's saying is this. He's saying, let's acknowledge we lost this thing, we've left. They've actually done a good job of the basics. Now we have to work with them incrementally on rights for people and women's rights and on to stop the economy crashing. Whereas everyone's just saying, how can you say that they hate women? Of course, no one has any rights at this point in Afghanistan, so that's what we don't talk about. We're annoyed in the West that they don't have, like, a trans darts league yet. But the fact is, they've started off with the basics.
10 years in Afghanistan trying to do that.
And so people are sore that they've done it better than we could.
No,
it's not that they're good. It's not that they're good.
Yeah.
But he's arguing for an incremental approach where some would say, OK, you can't work with the Taliban at all, which might be what you're saying.
The truth is, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say you can't work with the Taliban. Is that we're going to sit there and we're going to change these people's minds about women? Nothing. We lost. You know, saying that it's better run is like saying France was better run in 1940 after the Germans came in. Well, yeah, it was probably better run. Am I allowed to say that? Maybe you should say that.
Vichy.
The Vichy government. There was more peace. There was more peace in France.
Well, they were fighting the English, the French, at that point, of course. You have to remember that. You know,
I'm just saying,
we were happy as pigs.
We work with a lot of terrible regimes. I mean, Trudeau said he admired the basic dictatorship of China. I'm just saying he's got it's a sort of hard-nosed diplomatic approach saying we have to work with them. That's all he's saying.
The key difference here, I mean, I understand the comment point, but the key difference is that Germany had invaded France and we had invaded Afghanistan.
But we left.
So it's like if Germany left, but France carried on having a regime you didn't like. That would be the similarity, not what you're talking about here. That is an extraordinarily important part. Afghanistan has a very different culture, and I am, all joking aside, I'm not that comfortable with the way they don't allow women to be educated, but it is obviously what Afghanistan has been like for centuries. It's not something that's been recent. Islam is it manifests in different ways in different countries, but it clearly has a different idea about, sex-based rights and so on than we have in the West. You don't just remove your ambassadors and your embassies and all kind of diplomatic contact from every country whose regime you don't like. It's much better to, as you say, gradually build up an infrastructure that allows them to take their place at the table. Otherwise, you just drive massive migration, failed states, harbouring terrorists, it all goes bad again.
We, or America or Britain, can't even do that here, which is raise up Britain and manipulate Britain through our government. So what makes us think we're going to do it in Afghanistan? We'll just give it up.